Hello everyone, welcome to the third section of Perio question paper discussion. So today I'll be discussing another 9 set of chapter questions. So coming to the first chapter, defense mechanism of the gingiva. First question, clinical significance of GCF. So the answer for this question you can find in chapter 3, defense mechanisms of the gingiva, page number 39. So in this question you have to write what happens to GCF when there is inflammation, when there is trauma from occlusion, mastication, gingival massage during ovulation, prosthetic appliances, smoking during periodontal therapy, and also you have to mention about the circadian periodicity. Coming to the second question, role of saliva in oral health. So for this, there is a table that is given in Kerenza, page number 41. It will be good if you guys can elaborate the table. Coming to the third question, that is the composition of GCF. For this question also, there is a figure in Kerenza, page number 39. You just have to draw that figure. Moving on to the next chapter, that is gingival inflammation. So the answer for both the questions is same only. First question is enumerate the stages of gingival inflammation with clinical and microscopic changes. And second one is the pathologic stages of chronic gingivitis. In both this question, you have to write the 4 stages of gingival inflammation, that is the initial inflammation, early inflammation, established stage and advanced stage. Coming to the next chapter, that is the clinical features of gingivitis. Classify gingival recession. So for this you have to refer chapter 51 and first you have to write what is recession, and then you can write about the classification. So 2 classification is there. Atkins classification is given in page number 563 of Kerenza, and Miller's classification in page number 565. Now coming to causes of gingival bleeding. So causes of gingival bleeding you can find in chapter clinical features of gingivitis, page number 147. So gingival bleeding you have to write, it can be divided into local and systemic factors, and you have to mention the local factors and the systemic factors separately. Write 1 or 2 lines about each. And also along with that, there is for your reference, there is a table in Kerenza which lists out the causes of gingival bleeding. Coming to the next chapter, that is gingival enlargement. So the first question is classify gingival enlargement, describe the clinical and histological features of phenytoin induced gingival enlargement and mention the mechanism. And the next question is classify gingival enlargement and discuss in detail about the drug-induced gingival enlargement. For both the question, you have to refer the chapter gingival enlargement, page number 153. And whereas for the second part of the question, that is the clinical histological features of phenytoin-induced gingival enlargement, you have to refer page number 155. So there is a heading called anticonvulsants. So under that, whatever is written, you have to mention in the phenytoin-induced gingival enlargement. Histopathology is also given in that same page, 156 in Kerenza. Next question is short note on vitamin C. So first you have to write what is vitamin C, what are the sources of vitamin C, and what is the deficiency of vitamin C called. And then in this here, in the third paragraph, I have enlisted the possible etiological relationship between vitamin C and periodontal disease. I have enlisted few points. All these points has to be mentioned for this answer. Coming to next one, that is idiopathic gingival enlargement. Refer chapter gingival enlargement, page number 158. Under this question, you can add a slight introduction on what is idiopathic gingival enlargement. Then write about the clinical features, write about the etiology, and then the histopathology. Then the drug-induced gingival overgrowth and clinical features of drug-induced gingival overgrowth, both you will find it's a direct answer. Gingival enlargement chapter you refer page number 155. Now coming to next question, that is a periodontal treatment protocol for pregnant women. So this was not given in Carenza, so I have made it in few points. The 12 points are there. So first is like we have to give short appointments for the pregnant women because they can fatigue easily, they can get fatigued. And second one is gently we have to slow and straighten the chair. We should never do it fast. And then place the patient on left side or elevate the right hip. That much is enough. I have just added the extra for your kind information. Then advise non-alcoholic mouthwash for the patient, and also advise not to brush right after vomiting because it can cause erosion of the teeth. Then we have to recommend less flavored dentifrice and always recommend a small toothbrush, and no medication should be given which are toxic or has teratogenic effects on the fetus, and also the use of dental radiograph should be minimum. And if we are giving any if we are prescribing any drugs, then they should take the drugs after breastfeeding and then avoid the nursing for 4 hours or more. Then plaque control is necessary, and also if there is any pregnancy tumor that will regress after postpartum, but sometimes surgical excision is needed. So all these 12 points are needed for this answer. Coming to the next chapter, that is acute gingival infections. First, acute herpetic gingival stomatitis causes, clinical presentation and treatment. For this, you have to refer chapter 15, acute gingival infection. So first, you have to write a small introduction on what is acute herpetic gingival stomatitis, and then you have to write the clinical features. Under clinical features, you can mention about the oral signs, oral symptoms, as well as the extraoral signs and symptoms. And then you have to write about the etiology, what causes the acute herpetic gingival stomatitis. Then later you have to write about the histopathology and then the differential diagnosis. And for the treatment part, you can refer chapter 32, that is the treatment of acute gingival disease. Under that, you have to find the heading acute herpetic gingival stomatitis. All the points has to be mentioned. Then coming to short note, clinical features of ANAC, refer chapter 15, acute gingival infections. And then pericoronitis also you can find in the same chapter towards the end, page number 168. Then coming to next chapter, that is periodontal abscess, short essay. First, explain the etiopathogenesis, clinical features and management of periodontal abscess. You have to refer to chapter 18, abscess of the periodontium. And then for the management part, you have to refer chapter 33, that is the treatment of periodontal abscess. And then describe the clinical features and management of acute periodontal abscess. The same chapters you have to refer. Then coming to the next one, that is periodontal abscess versus periapical abscess. You have to refer chapter 18, abscess of the periodontium. And there in that chapter, there is a table available which has 7 points. All those 7 points has to be mentioned. Next chapter is desquamative gingivitis. So desquamative gingivitis and its management is the first question. So for this question, you have to first define what is desquamative gingivitis and then write a clinical, like general clinical features. If possible, you can give a classification also. And then for the management part, you have to write the management for each condition. For your reference, there is a table in Carenza where they have given the therapeutic approaches for each condition. The table is 16.2. So please refer that chapter 16. Then next short note, that is lichen planus. For that same chapter, desquamative gingivitis, page number 180. And here for this question, first you have to write what is lichen planus, and then you have to write whom it is in, whether it is females or males, and then the prevalence, etc. And then the oral lesions, the gingival lesions seen in lichen planus, and then the histopathology. When you are writing histopathology, always mention about the immunofluorescence, and then the differential diagnosis, and then the treatment part. Coming to the next one, that is the periodontal pocket. Defined pocket described about the pathogenesis of periodontal pocket. Refer chapter 17, periodontal pocket. Write definition of the pocket first and then mention any one or two classification and then describe the pathogenesis. Coming to short note, differences between suprabony and infrabony. That also same chapter, periodontal pocket, you have to refer. First write the definition and then write about the differences between suprabony and infrabony. Coming to next, that is the root surface wall changes in periodontal pocket. So in the root surface changes, you have to mention about the three main changes. That is, first is the structural change, second is the chemical change, third is the cytotoxic changes. So in structural change, you have to mention about the role of pathologic granules. And in the second one, that is the chemical changes, you have to mention about the mineral content. And then in the third one, that is the cytotoxic changes, you have to write about the role of endotoxins. Then for more, you can refer page number 201 in periodontal pocket chapter, Carranza mein. The next one is etiopathogens of pocket, that you can find in the periodontal pocket chapter, Carranza, page number 195. Coming to the last one, that is the determination of prognosis. So define prognosis, explain the factors affecting overall prognosis. Next question is define prognosis. What are the factors to be considered for individual tooth prognosis? Third question, define and classify prognosis, described about factors affecting it. For this question, you have to refer chapter 28, determination of prognosis in Carranza, page number 302. So the contents for all the answer I am telling all together. So first what you have to do is you have to define what is prognosis and then write the classification of the prognosis, that is the excellent, good, hopeless, questionable, etc. And then you have to classify the prognosis, that is into overall clinical factors and then into individual clinical factors, and then you have to mention about each one under it. So overall clinical factors will come like systemic and environmental factors, and under individual clinical factors will come the local anatomic and prosthetic and restorative factors. There is a table given in Carranza, so please refer this chapter. Then coming to the short note, describe the various factors determining the individual tooth prognosis. So the same, you have to mention about the local anatomic and prosthetic and restorative factors. Then enumerate the factors affecting prognosis, as I already discussed. Then next question is tooth mobility. Tooth mobility, you have to refer chapter 25, periodontal examination and prognosis. So first you have to define what is mobility and then write the classification of mobility. Then you have to mention about the two stages of the mobility and then how to check the mobility, that is with the help of the two mouth mirrors. And then also mention about the causes of mobility. That much is enough because it's a short note. And then assessment of individual tooth prognosis and periodontitis, that is already discussed. So that's all for today's section. We'll get back to you tomorrow with another set of questions. Thank you so much.